Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show are available through Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes. Wherever you pick up audio versions of the show, you will find us there. Just search the Dynamo Podcast Network and the Upper Tier. Joining me tonight for a Premier League preview for this weekend's big action. Of course, we will be also dropping a Liverpool-Chelsea preview, but joining me to go through the rest of the fixtures, let's see how this weekend is shaping up in terms of the early stages of a title race starting to take shape in the Dynamo. Kelly, how are we doing, Ian?
I'm good, man. I'm actually I didn't make it on the mashup this week, so looking forward to it because I heard a lot of talk about last week's fixtures. A lot of guys with a lot to say, you know.
Yeah, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's kick it off then. 12:30 on Saturday, lunchtime kickoff. Massive game for Mikel Arteta. Man City versus Arsenal. What you thinking on this one?
Well, like, would it surprise you if Arsenal went and won it?
No, not at all.
I don't know. I think realistically, I mean, look, Man City have kind of cornered themselves, like backed themselves into a corner, really, when it comes to the market. I mean, I just don't see how he gets out with his life. You know what I mean? So they've kind of really snookered themselves in their striker situation, haven't they? I mean, that Aguero deal, that 1 year extension for Aguero looks a whole lot better now for me, right?
It probably would look a whole lot better for Aguero as well when he looks back and thinking.
That's what I mean.
Barca as well, like, yeah.
That's what I mean. I still think City will have too much for Arsenal. Like, Arsenal put up a decent shift against Chelsea, but at stages, you know what I mean? Their man marking ability and the fact that they can just be kind of pulled apart so easily, both in the midfield and at the back, is what scares you. I do think Arsenal might get a goal this week with Aubameyang back. I think he's due to do fucking something for the club, isn't he? So I'm gonna go 4-1 City.
God, that's a big call, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm taking a goal.
They might demolish them. I just think someone like Jack Grealish picking the pockets will really hurt Arsenal. I do. I really do. So I'm going to go for. I'm going to stick to my guns.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going for a score draw.
I only had two choices. It was either an Arsenal win or a Man City win. So
I'm going to go for a score draw. I'm thinking 2-2. Which is
nice.
It's a big shout, but I think, as you said, Arteta's backed into a corner now. He has to do something, or his days at Arsenal are numbered. I think he'll probably get as far as, the funny thing when you look at this, they could go out and beat City, right? And then they could lose to Norwich and Burnley. This is the very Arsenal thing to do, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I think he'll get as far as the London Derby, and then it'll be assessed at that point,
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly an interesting toy, and certainly a toy that me and you'll be keeping an eye on in terms of the top of the table, that whole area, City.
Well, with only one of the teams involved anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's move on. Aston Villa versus Brentford. Aston Villa, a team I've been very impressed with in the transfer market this summer, and Brentford, who I've been very impressed with in terms of their start to the season. Great away point to Crystal Palace the other day, beating Arsenal down at the new stadium, first night of the season. What you thinking on this one?
I like Villa. I have a family member I'm close with that's a Villa fan, and it's kind of always had a soft spot for Villa. You know what I mean? Great club. As you mentioned, take a little bit of time for them to click, but they got a decent result at the week. To be honest with you, I do. It's one thing, but I think going to Villa at home, I don't know. I'm going to go. I think Brentford will score. I think they could cause Villa problems as they settle, but I'm going to go 3-1 Villa.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I think this will be I think Villa are going to find a form. Danny Ings was electric there at the weekend, and I think this might be a stretch too much for Brentford. I think if Brentford were at home, I might maybe go for a draw or something like that, but I think this is Villa all over. Next up, Brighton versus Everton. I'm thinking on this one. This has to be a Brighton win, doesn't it?
Well, you'd kind of hope so, with both of us not being the biggest Rafa fans in the world. You know, for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think realistically, this screams out draw as well for some reason.
Yeah.
I think a score draw. I'm thinking 2-2.
I think Brighton are going to beat them. I think Potter plays great football, especially at home, and I think it's expansive. And
he does.
And I think with Everton, I think Rafa at times these days can be a little bit predictable in the way he sets up and the way he plays. So I just think this might be set up for Potter, you know what I mean? And like, I love to see Graham Potter do well because he plays a beautiful brand of football, even with the limitations that he has. So I always like to see him. It's funny the way it's changed. Always when I look at the weekend results now, I always go to look at the Brighton result as well because I want him to do well. Except if he's playing against Liverpool, of course. But you know, I want him to always do well. You know, because I like the way he goes about his business. I think he's a manager in the future that will manage one of the big clubs not too long in the future. You know what I mean? I think he's a real solid manager. And yeah, with Everton, I just don't know what Everton and Benitez, you know what I mean? It's just such a weird situation there, you know what I mean? It's hard.
Well, we've said this about all the managers, like, kind of come out and
yeah. What you're taking a score draw on this one, are you?
2-2.
Interesting. Certainly should be an open game anyway.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah. Did you say today as well? I read a story today that Richarlison was linked with PSG.
Who hasn't?
No, but that's madness, isn't it? Like, I mean, do they just want to buy everyone, or what's the story? Next up, Newcastle versus Southampton.
But are they actually going to be like? It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah. Both teams kind of struggling, although Southampton got a good result against United. But I know Southampton, they don't travel well.
No. I was very impressed with, obviously, I was talking to a couple of people there the last couple of days, and not many people knew that their signing Livramento came from Chelsea, the young right back that got man of the match. Yeah. Chelsea have a buyback clause. He's a young fella that I've been keeping a very close eye on, and it was a bit sad to see him go. But I mean, like, when you're selling these players with a buyback option on the cheap, it's basically a loan, isn't it? It's just a long-term loan.
Basically, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of like you do the dirty work that we don't want to do, and then we'll take him back when he's ready.
well, what it does as well is that they've brought in this rule that they're limiting the amount of loans that can be done very soon, as you know. Jeez. So what did Chelsea go and do? Sell with a buyback clause. Sorted.
Yeah. It's like throwing a boomerang, isn't it? It'll eventually.
Of course it is. They're going to come back. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what laws they bring in. There's always a workaround, isn't there?
They
always find a way.
Of course, it's like that class clown, isn't it? That's always getting in trouble. You'll always find a way, even no matter how many days he spent in detention. He's still going to be the same clown. Yeah. With this one, I actually fancy Newcastle 2-1 on this. I don't know why this game is telling me 2-1, but what are you thinking?
I was thinking Newcastle just by the odd goal. So I think it could be right. It could be 2-1 or 1-0 or something like that. I don't think it'll be a pleasant game to watch either. You know what I mean? It could be a bit of a trawl, really. You know.
No. And one manager's kind of fighting for his life, really, isn't he?
You could argue that both managers are.
Well, you could actually, yeah.
I suppose Southampton would be more, let's say, more liberal with Hassleville as well, because they've sold off some of the crown jewels, so they have to understand they've put them in a difficult predicament. So they might be more understanding to the results. Whereas with Brucey and all those Geordies back in the stadium and stuff like that, they'll tear them asunder if things don't go well. You know what I mean? They've a very short fuse, to be honest. So yeah,
Del nasal interview won't get him out of trouble.
No. absolutely not. VAR can't judge that one.
No.
Norwich versus Leicester.
I expect a bounce back from Leicester, to be honest with you. There has to be, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, Jamie Vardy's always going to score your goals and all, but I just think this Leicester this year they don't really fill me with the most confidence from what I've seen so far. And maybe I'm being a bit harsh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do fancy them to bounce back. And I mean, Norwich play decent football in their own right as well at times,
Again, they've sold off a lot of the quality that was there last year.
Exactly.
Wendy was a huge player for them in the championship, and he's gone, you know what I mean? So they're really struggling. And Tuki's the guy leading the line who's like, is he really a Premier League player? You know what I mean?
No, I think he's a championship player, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I fancy Leicester in this, and I fancy Leicester by a bit. Like, I'm going to go 2-0 on this one. Yeah. I think Rodgers will have worked on the defense as well. And I fancy something like a Jamie Vardy brace or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I'm thinking maybe 3-4-0. Maybe Norwich might get a goal, but somewhere in the region. It'll be a comfortable day for Leicester.
I think so, yeah.
And another tough day for Fark, really. You know what I mean? I think Norwich, you can see from the outset straight away this year, and I know they've had a couple of tough ties against Liverpool and stuff like that, but you can see they're propping up the numbers for that kind of yo-yo club. I spoke to Ben on the match reaction the other night there, and he was saying, like, Norwich are just a yo-yo club, really, and he's right.
Yeah.
West Ham, Crystal Palace. Again, Moyes doing a brilliant job at West Ham. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a demolition, to be honest with you, especially at home at the Stadio Olimpico. I fancy about 3 or 4-0 on this one, to be honest with you. If I'm going to pick one, I think Palace. I just don't fancy Palace. I don't think Vieira will make the whole season either.
No, I think he's a Christmas exit, really.
I think so. I fancy West Ham about 3 or 4-0. If I have to pick one, I'm going to go on the wild side here. Fuck it. And I'm going to say 4-0. I think
How impressed have you been with Moyes?
Listen, he deserves it, doesn't he? Just like he deserved more time at Man United, because he's a far better manager than that little, joker at the wheel.
And long may he continue at the wheel.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, I'm very impressed with David Moyes. Very loyal. I think United literally screwed him big time. I think they screwed Fergie in the process as well.
Yeah.
He was the one that recommended him, but the bounce back from David Moyes, I think, has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
and this has been built over a couple of seasons now.
Yeah, and even when he went out, he had a tough time at Sociedad, and he bounced back from that as well. You know what I mean? So
he did,
good, yeah.
And also it looks like, according to his new centre back in time as well, looks like Zuma that could be wrapped up.
Yeah. I think
24, 48 hours as well.
That's a great deal.
So, I mean, I think Zuma going to West Ham really strengthens them, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a great deal. And it really, really does strengthen West Ham as well. It really does.
And the fact that they're scoring goals all over the pitch as well is very impressive. They're not so reliant on Mikel Antonio now. So, yeah.
Who's the player that's impressed you most for West Ham, actually?
Ben Rama. Ben Rama, since he kind of got back in there, I think he's a very impressive player. You know what I mean? I think his stature and his way reminds me very much of Gnabry. Reminds me very much like him.
Yeah. Do you think someone like a Declan Rice is off with them now, though, with the fact that they looking at, because we know the team he wanted to sign was my own, obviously Chelsea, to play with his mates, and obviously that's his club, like. Since he was a kid, but do you think he's looking at that now on Chelsea?
Yeah,
as you like to say, and going. I mean, the reason I'm asking that is, like, should he not be happy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. think, I think Declan Rice is one of those guys that he'd be happy anywhere bar playing for Ireland. But I just think he's I think ultimately he'll end up at Chelsea. There's no doubt about that. I think it's only a timing thing, and I think West Ham are trying to hang on to, they're trying to hang on to him in there. But yeah, very impressive. Like, you know what I mean? It's West Ham has been kind of a revelation, really, hasn't it? When you think about it.
You broke up for about 4.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's a bad connection tonight. I think it just seems to be off at the moment. But yeah, no, I was saying he'll ultimately end up at Chelsea. I don't see him going anywhere else. I think the connection there with Mount and everything else and all. Like, if you're a player playing in London at the moment, why wouldn't you want to go to Chelsea? Where else would you want to go? Yeah, let's move on. 5:30. The evening kickoff, Liverpool versus Chelsea up at Anfield.
For that West Ham Palace.
Oh,
what was your? Yeah. What was it?
Yeah, I could see 3-4-1. 3-4-1. I think West Ham will have a field day with them. I think, as you said, Palace will be another one that will struggle.
Yeah, me too.
I think Vieira will have major problems there. I suppose this is the big one of the weekend. This is the first sort of.
I'm going to let you start. With this one.
It's kind of it's early in the season, isn't it? For it, really, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's come early, but it's an opportunity to lay down a marker, especially going into an international break. I mean, obviously, you couldn't be any more impressed with Chelsea with the transfers that they've done, with the work that Tuchel has done, and bringing in Lukaku was just incredible. We will get into it more. We will do a match preview, and we'll drop it before Saturday. But I'm thinking he'll probably put Werner back in there again, won't he? Because we play a high line, and I'm thinking that's where Werner.
I was watching you on the match up, but I was screaming at the screen on the laptop when you was bringing up Werner again. I just wanted to box the head off Ollie's. I was like, what are you talking about? He's just going to be a bench player. So stick to your own fucking clubs. No, I think without a shadow of a doubt, I think he'll play Werner. I think that that pace, any kind of flick on that Werner could potentially get onto. And I mean, Greg mentioned on the mashup about the offside rule last year and how Grealish got done with a toe. Let's not forget Werner got done with a fucking fingernail against Liverpool last year.
Yeah, and got done multiple times last season.
Yeah, I mean, even you were texting me during that game. You know the one I'm talking about, where he broke free and he kind of hit it over the keeper, chipped it over the keeper. That was literally a fingernail.
Yeah.
So he got done quite a lot last season. So, and the news coming out as well about Werner rejecting Inter Milan too is quite, you know what I mean? Quite. I mean, I don't think Chelsea were trying to sell him to them, but I think Inter Milan inquired, and Chelsea probably asked him, "Look, do you want to fucking go over there? Do you want to get away from this madness that are the British bleeding media that are going to just destroy you if you don't turn up?" But I like his attitude, and I think you're looking at Timo Werner starting. For you guys, I guess obviously you have Matip and you have Van Dijk back. This is a battle, isn't it? Like this is really like this is intriguing. This is a very different Lukaku, and coming back to play against these boys. Yeah, and I suppose one of these defenders, as you rightly said, is going to be tasked with tracking Werner. So it's all about, I suppose, playing a decent line for you guys as well, and hoping that the offside trap isn't broken.
Tell us this: if Werner's going in there now, Lukaku's obviously playing without a shadow of a doubt. So if Werner goes back into the side, who comes out, and how do you feel about that?
Well, it's one of Mount or Havertz, isn't it? Just because Tuchel has already said that he's going to play a couple of different kind of systems this year, and it's all the one system, but it's just tweaked to a point. The wing backs are kind of like the really important part. Yeah. That are, they are kind of the glue in terms of how we play down the wings.
Reece
And then
James was phenomenal against Arsenal. Phenomenal.
unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, I personally thought he was man of the match too.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Mm.
I saw that Triggs, what's his name? Triggs or whatever, that Arsenal, that mouthpiece from Arsenal TV. Troops, yeah, he was the sit down, little boy, and all. And I saw like people on Twitter, even Arsenal fans, saying, "Troops, Reece James would demolish you in every single. He would actually violate." I saw one Arsenal fan saying, "Troops, he'd violate you in more ways than one."
He does that. He does that to push buttons.
Yeah, I think. I think he could be looking at a two up top with Werner floating. Do you know what I mean? But kind of playing that role where he's gonna kind of float in. But I think I would say he will go with Mount just for the flexibility.
Yeah, the bit of grit. Because it will be a bit. It'll be physical in there.
That's what I mean. And don't get me wrong, I think Havertz is well able for that too. But I just think.
Do you think he'll go with that from the start, or do you think he might change that, say, with 30, 40 minutes to go? Because it's a big decision, isn't it, to put Werner in there, who's kind of been out of form and stuff like that, and then you're taking out a Kai Havertz, who's unbelievable, and a Mason Mount, who's unbelievable.
Oh, I don't think Werner personally. Yeah. And then I think he might bring Havertz or Mount on, dependent, because you could do both. I mean, I'd personally start with Havertz over Mount. I think the difference with Havertz and Mount, I love Mount. I'm a big Mason Mount fan, as I told you, but I think the difference is that Kai Havertz could be, a worldie. Like, we're talking about this guy being kind of the next generation with the likes of Mbappe and stuff in the way he plays his football.
Yeah. He tends to have a very cleverness of latching onto goals, doesn't he? When everyone else is preoccupied, he comes out of nowhere. And that's kind of sometimes where I see our Liverpool getting caught out. We sometimes get preoccupied with, say, Werner and Lukaku, and all of a sudden we switch off, and all of a sudden Havertz is there in the moment, that kind of way. He's that
very intelligent player,
very intelligent, sneaky kind of way about him. He just goes in there, kind of thing.
But his touch and all, even for the the goal, the Reece James goal. That little touch where there's two players on him and he has the audacity to just do like a little flick.
Yeah.
Like that gets unnoticed, and then you're just looking at the assist. You're going, no, the build-up play there was what got you to the dance. Like, it's interesting. I mean, it depends on what you boys play as well. I mean, with that three at the back, what are you fancying Liverpool-wise? I mean, obviously it's going to be Jota, Firmino and Salah, I'd imagine, or else does Firmino come out and he plays Jota to try and float in?
I think Firmino comes out and I think Jota starts, but I think we will see Firmino in the game depending on how it progresses. Salah, of course, is absolutely world class. There's no doubt about it. But it'll be interesting to see the physicalness of him standing up to Rudiger, because that has been a problem in the past. But certainly it'll be interesting to see what way that evolves. I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. I'm not sure what way to go with this. What way are you thinking this is going to go?
Well, I suppose we're going to do a proper preview of it, like from a Liverpool and Chelsea fan point of view. So I suppose let's look at it from a scoreline. It will be tight enough. I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea.
I'm thinking it's going to be the odd goal as well, and I think it could go. I think it could go either way, because I think both teams match up really well. And it's really who starts out in that first 5 or 10 minutes and lays down a marker on the pitch, Really looking to see that fight in the battle with Jorginho in the middle. That's going to be excellent. I'm really looking forward to that, because that's where these games tend to be won and lost,
Well, that's it. And obviously Kante is back at full fitness, so don't be surprised if he starts. You know what? Don't be surprised if you have a curveball and literally Ziyech starts, because I mean he's been phenomenal in preseason. So he could go. The great thing about Klopp, and I think even more so with Tuchel, Klopp has his kind of 13 players that he works with. I think with Tuchel, he's got a little bit of a broader kind of bench. So
Yeah, certainly a bigger pill to pull from, all right.
Yeah, exactly. And you could see Pulisic or someone in there instead of Werner because he also has the pace. Do you know what I mean? No one's really talking about that. And he did score on the opening day of the season as well, and has been pretty decent. So, yeah, I'm gonna go Chelsea 2-1. You're probably gonna go Liverpool 2-1. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Liverpool, but I think it'll be a tight game. I don't think there'll be any inch given in this one. You know what I mean? This will be a proper. These lads will be delighted that they have a 10 or 12 day rest after this game, because this.
And the thing is, I
this will
just
be
want to
fiery.
say to all the Liverpool fans out there as well, I know you are acting brave and you're putting a brave face on and all, and you're, in Virgil we trust and all that kind of thing, but yous are bricking it with Big Rom going up against the Van Dijk.
I don't know. I think Virgil relishes these. You know what I mean? This is what he's all about. He
He
looks forward to
does,
this
he
kind of
does,
thing.
but so does Rom.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think if you go back and you look at his time at United as well, I think Virgil, even when he was playing at Southampton, he had a real good take on Lukaku. You know what I mean? So, but this is obviously a different Lukaku. You know, this is a guy who's gone off and become a machine.
No, I'm only teasing. To be honest with you, that's the battle I'm looking forward to. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
If you weren't a fan of either of these teams, I'd say you'd be relishing sitting there as a neutral.
Yeah.
To watch that, and this is why we love the game, right?
Yeah. Even I'm even looking forward to Hendo and Jorginho. I think that's going to be classic in the middle as well.
That will be good. Yeah.
Let's top off Sunday. Three fixtures on Sunday. The 2:00 Burnley versus Leeds.
You know what? Leeds need to do something.
And hopefully against Burnley.
Yeah, because especially for Dino, you know what I mean? If nothing else but for Dino, because we all know how much he loves Sean Dyche. So, Dino, I'm praying for you on this one. Look, Leeds are better than this, surely. But the problem is they're their own worst enemy. Their manager is their own worst enemy. Yeah. When I heard his name as manager of the year, I was like, what? What? Don't give me this bullshit. It's a results-based game. Oh, but they play nice football. These little fairy tales that usually come from fairy people, it just annoys me. Like, it's an open style of football, but I mean, they are opening themselves up to get crucified by anybody on the counter-attack. And Bielsa they play good football, but as Roy Keane might probably say, if he was allowed to, it's a load of bollocks. Like, they need to be getting results, and
yeah. Well, in fairness to them, I mean, more often than last season than not, they did. You know what I mean? And they did go on a decent run at one stage. You know what I mean?
But it doesn't look like the same team this season for some reason.
Yeah, I think the United result is kind of a weird one. That the Everton result is kind of more what you would expect from them. The United one was kind of like Leeds looked as if they hadn't even had a pre-season. They looked unfit. United looked like they couldn't play a better game all season. They looked world class all around the pitch.
Well, they certainly didn't in their second game anyway, even though they're crying. And those tears of United fans, they're so salty, aren't they? Oh, well, Bruno got caught. Oh, but Bruno, Bruno's a little ferret. And you know what? He's gonna be found out there. That's the first and only hat-trick he'll have this year, anyway, that's for sure.
So what are you thinking on this one? Leeds win?
Yeah, I just wanted to tease United fans there. Sorry, I was off the matchup and I didn't get a chance, and it was 2 v everybody else. So sorry, Mark and Greg. I love you, you know that. No, I'm thinking Leeds need a bounce back, and I'm expecting a strong Leeds window. Oh. I'm gonna expect a destroy job here, and I think they're gonna win by 4 goals.
Wow, that's a big call down at 12.
Yeah, I'm expecting I'm expecting Brantford to really turn up on Rafinha, because they played good. And in fairness, I am being a little bit harsh on them from what I saw in the first game of the season. We probably all are. Anyone that's not a United fan has probably been harsh on them because of that. Yeah. Because literally the world is ABUs, and that's a fact.
That's a big call now. I was thinking Leeds just by the odd goal. I was thinking maybe
I think Leeds might bounce back.
No, it's a good shout.
Like, I mean, in big style.
Leeds fans will be delighted with that call. Let's
And I
move
hate
on.
Leeds, by the way, just so you know.
Spurs versus Watford. Harry Kane
Watford
staying
all
at
the
the
way.
Champagne Lane.
Watford all the way.
No, I
Look,
think I think
I think
Nuno
Spurs are,
will
yeah,
continue his good form, won't he? Really?
yeah. It's another 3 points for Spurs, yeah.
Yeah, Kane staying there is crazy, isn't it? It's just mad.
Well, he showed his hand now, hasn't he? So it's all well and good. I mean, like it's like when you do something on social media, like, and you got found out about it, and then you try and renege on it.
Yeah.
And like he seems his PR team are fucking absolute shite, aren't they?
The tweet today was God.
It's just
awful.
Like, we know what you were up to, me. It's grand. And look, it's not all, this doesn't all fall on the lad's shoulders. At the end of the day, he was obviously sold a bill of goods by that little rat that runs the club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Levy, like, I doubt he could keep a promise to his mother, let alone his wife. So I'd say he probably did get a gentleman's agreement. And as you said early on in the season, these gentlemen's agreement don't mean shit in business, especially when you got someone like Levy running the club. So it depends. Look, a couple of goals from Harry Kane at the weekend, and moving on.
All will be forgiven.
Yeah, moving into the game, like the European Milk Trophy or whatever they're in. I don't even know what that
the LDV Vans European Trophy.
The LDV Vans European Trophy, yeah. Oh my jeez, you're playing against postmen from like the Faroe Islands. Yeah, I think you're looking at about a 3 or 4-1. I think Spurs will beat Watford fairly comfortably, to be honest with you.
You'd expect, if Kane plays, you'd expect him to put a few away, wouldn't you?
Maybe.
Maybe a brace from Son and a brace from Kane. Maybe that's
maybe.
Yeah,
Kane will redeem himself, and all will be right in 3-point lane.
The thing is, I feel very sorry for the player who comes out if Kane goes back in as well. You know what I mean? If it's Moira or whoever it is, because they've started out really well. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully Nuno kind of makes a statement here and says, right, well, you're staying on the bench for a couple of games. You know what I mean? Just as a kind of because whatever agreement that Kane and Levy had, like, that's not the player's fault and that's not the manager's fault. So I hope the manager sticks to his guns and says, well, that's all well and good, but I'm at getting 6 points with the team I have. So
yeah. What about the captaincy?
Sure. Look, you're talking to a Chelsea fan. Are you kidding me? It wouldn't be on him anyway. From my point of view, anyway, it wouldn't be.
So you reckon he ain't getting the armband back anytime soon?
Well, he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Do you think he should?
I don't think he should, but I wonder. I just wonder what way will they sell it, if you like. You know what I mean? Because I don't think Lloris is a good option either. You know what I mean? So
no, but I don't think he's a captain anyway. Like this whole idea of strikers being captain, like I've never liked it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shearer, we're talking about a different player here altogether. He was literally, and I suppose in that little club that is Tottenham Hotspur, like maybe Harry Kane is their world and maybe he is their captain. So yeah, give it to him if they want to. I don't care. Yeah. Couldn't give a fuck.
Let's move on. 4:30, Wolves versus United.
Well, Ash, United fan on this prediction, and there's going to be a hammering. So I don't think so.
I think United will bounce back. I think they'll be very comfortable here. I think Wolves, they're going to have a real difficult season as well. I could see Wolves being
not according to Ted. They're getting top 6.
Yeah, well, I think Ted must have been on the mushrooms that night or something like that, because that doesn't make sense.
It's the Red Bull.
The Red Bull, the energy drinks. Yeah, because I mean, the Wolves, like, they've lost players. They have a bundle of players that are looking to move on. Obviously, Jimenez is not going to come back the same player. As bad and as sad as that sounds.
And Adama Traore is not a £40 million player. I mean, what a silly idea pricing him out of a move this year when so many teams wanted him.
But I just think that's the problem there with Wolves as well. If the likes of Neves and Adama Traore, and Neto was unlucky as well. He got injured as well, and he recurred the injury, so he's gone till February as well. So they've lost a lot of players. They've been unlucky with key injuries. And then you have a number of players there who wanted to move on but got priced out within the market, so they haven't.
Do you think Neves, by the way, do you see like a cheeky move from either Liverpool or United for Neves?
It wouldn't be Liverpool. I think it could be United, because I think United have recognised very quickly their shortcomings in midfield.
And they're looking for a Saul, aren't they? But it looks like that's not going to happen for them.
No, I don't think that would have been the case. I think Saul Niguez will be looking at the Donny van de Beek situation, and he turned around and go, look, I'm not going to be another statistic there. I want to go and play football. So he'll end up going, I'd imagine, to Chelsea, and he'll work his way into that group. So I just think with this one, I think United will be way too strong for them. I think Wolves, I fear for Wolves this year. I think it's going to be an uphill battle for them really to stay in the division this year.
This is a great tweet from Eunice, who's a great Chelsea. You probably know him from Twitter. A gentleman's agreement with Daniel Levy is exactly why players have release clauses in their contracts. You can't trust someone based on a gentleman's agreement. Got to put it down on paper or it means nothing. Harry Kane has learned the hard way and might not win any trophy, which is really good. And DiMarzio are also, just because it's real, Koundé to Chelsea for 42 million. What in the name of Jesus is Marina Granovskaya able to do? It's absolutely crazy.
Well, we knew that a lot of clubs were going to be under pressure coming into the last week of the transfer window, and a lot of clubs are really hurting financially and are having to sell off the crown jewels.
Especially in Spain. Yeah.
And we knew that this week was going to be the week of knockdown bargains. You could pick up some really, really top players this week. So look, they were pimping out Ronaldo for 25 million. Now, I know his wages and his bonuses would be huge, but Juve were willing to move him on for 25 million, and City were sniffing around. I wonder, is that why City pulled the plug on Kane?
Well, I think Juve are still fairly all right financially. They are the one club I've heard Fabrizio Romano saying that Juve are still okay financially. They could probably do without the headache. They're the kind of club which are a passionate club would be like, well, if you don't want to play for us anymore and you wanted to just use us, then fuck off. But we're going to get what we can for you. Did you hear the latest? I know it's not a transfer show, but just because it's breaking, you probably heard it already. Like, Leonardo has come out and said that they're not going to hold Mbappe back for Real Madrid. So it looks like, that's just a matter of time as well. So
I also read, or I seen today as well, that an English club unnamed has lodged a massive bid for him.
Yeah, but literally, this is Leonardo himself. Kylian Mbappe wants to join Madrid, and only Madrid. We will not hold him back. We said no to Madrid's first offer, but our conditions are. If our conditions are met, we'll see. So,
isn't football mad when you think about it? You've got Real Madrid there who are financially strapped as well. They're in serious debt, 700 million or something. And like, you're looking at them, and they can just pound you up another 160 million or whatever it is for Mbappe. I mean, it beggars belief, doesn't it? The talk at the moment is if Mbappe goes in there, he could be their Lionel Messi in terms of, financially destroying them again,
It's crazy. Like, it really is crazy. And like, the world of football has gone mad. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know.
Isn't it mad when you're talking Harry Kane, 160 million? And there you have like Ronaldo potentially at 25, you have Isco at 20. You've all these other world-class players there, like, and they're going for buttons. You said Koundé for 40. You know what I mean? Like, these are serious. They saw Niguez on a loan deal with a potential buy. You know what I mean? It's
Lukaku went for 97. You know what I mean? Same age. You know what I mean? Won trophies. Proven trophy winner. You've got this big lispy bastard who just, because he's fucking English, he's the guy. Pep must be just smoking that English pipe or something like that. I mean, I thought Pep could definitely have a better scouting team than that and scour the world for a proper. I thought Lautaro was a perfect ideal option for him. You know what I mean? Perfect.
Yeah.
Young, stocky Argentine striker, scores almost 20, maybe 20 goals a season for you. You want to put 100, what's the 60 million over Lukaku? Like, what's the difference there? Is it the English tax?
It's potentially the English tax, but I'd imagine it's probably the marketing as well. You know, the image rights and the marketing and stuff like that.
Image rights. Lukaku looks far better than that thing. What? You want a lad with his tongue hanging out?
No, but what I'm saying is, in terms of the market and him being in the English setup and stuff like that, I'm not saying that I'd rather wear Harry Kane apparel than Lukaku apparel.
I don't think anyone would.
But that's how they look at it in terms of the image rights and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Listen, even England don't put him in their image rights anymore. They have Jack Grealish and Mason Mount and all the good-looking lads there. Big Harry Kane standing there going.
So you didn't give me the prediction for the last one. United Wolves.
Do you know what? I'm going to be a bastard, and I'm going to say United 3-1.
Yeah, I knew that was.
Yeah, I'm gonna say United 3-1. I think United should beat them. I mean, it's a different Wolves team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Different Wolves team, different manager, different setup. Players wanting to leave, as you said, that kind of are hoping. I would imagine hoping that this kind of wind up to the deadline that they get their asses out. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, a pleasure as always having you on. It's great to do these previews. This has been your Premier League preview for the up and coming weekend. Prior to it always kills me as well. We're only getting into the football and then the international break comes. It's a killer, isn't it?
I'm sick of it. Why, especially in COVID year, why is that happening?
Yeah, and then apparently there's another one in October.
Why is it happening? Why are we allowing this to happen?
Yeah, well, I know they've blocked a lot of the players, haven't they?
I think clubs should clamp down now and say no. No, we're paying the wages. Fuck off. Yeah, that's a different conversation for another day, but we will have that conversation because I think it's an absolute disgrace.
Might be a good debate to have on a show during International Week, maybe when football is kind of quiet.
Yeah, I think so because I mean, like if one of my players or your players or anyone's players comes back and has a dose of COVID or something, or whatever it may be, like, good Lord, it's just an absolute disgrace. Like, and it always wrecks the start of the Premier League.
Yeah, it's just so disruptive when you're getting into your rhythm, and then you'll find that, like, especially if you look at Chelsea, your Mount will go off and play for England or something like that, and he'll end up picking up a knock and he'd miss two Chelsea games or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's always the way that it happens, especially when you're modeling. Well, listen, pleasure as always. Dynamo Podcast Network for the videos episodes, obviously Podbean, Spotify, iTunes for all the audio versions of the show. This has been your Premier League preview for this up and coming weekend, and we will talk to you again real soon. Cheers, bro.
You too, my man.